Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chambers. Mr. Chair, I put a motion on notice, which I'd like to move at this time, and I'll read it into the record. That with regard to the provisions of Budget 2024 and the subsequent motion passed by the House of Commons regarding changes to certain provisions regarding the administration of capital gains and the provisions related to the taxation of capital gains earned by both individuals under the Income Tax Act and corporations, both publicly traded and Canadian-controlled private corporations, including but not limited to the increase in the inclusion rate from 50% to 66 2/3%, the Department of Finance provide the following to the House of Commons Standing Committee on Finance on or before November 1st, 2024. A detailed written economic impact study on the implementation of the aforesaid changes, including a breakdown of the expected impact on private sector employment, including jobs related to trades and construction. B, an estimate of the anticipated new tax revenue expected. C, a breakdown of the effect the changes will have on Canada's GDP, both gross and per capita. D, an analysis of the impact of the equity positions of publicly traded corporations with a specific focus on the direct impact on share value. E, an estimate of the impact of the equity position of the an estimate of the impact on the equity position of the Canada Pension Plan. F, an estimate of the impact on investment in SMEs, startups, and R&D, including impact on scaling. And G, an analysis as to whether these changes will be a disincentive for the construction of purpose-built rental units and multi-unit housing projects. I don't expect this motion will be particularly controversial, but it will certainly aid this committee in completing our study.
You already sent it in? Yeah, he gave notice. Okay. MP Morantz, is that giving notice, or did you move that?
The motion is on notice. I've now moved it.
You moved it. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that. And now I guess there's be some debate. I do see MP Sainte-Marie's hand up.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that this kind of study, with the points raised, would allow us to better assess the impact of this tax, and it would be useful for the analysis of the future bill. I would be in favor of this motion, but our position is not definitive. I have to listen to what my colleagues have to say. At this point, though, I am in favor of the motion. Thank you.
I did see another hand up. MP Chambers.
It won't surprise my committee colleagues where I fall, but I would like to just mention, take the opportunity. The government just released yesterday a new Ways and Means motion, and we're supposed to, I think, vote on that tomorrow. And there's been no briefing offered to parliamentarians about what's changed in that motion. So perhaps those folks in the finance department might like to make themselves available. I would just put this as an adjacent to Mr. Morantz's motion of just being a little more rigorous around the changes that they're doing and making sure we have the right impact statement. But when the government introduces one Ways and Means motion in June or late May and another one on the same issue without the final draft of legislation and then doesn't offer a briefing to parliamentarians about what's changed in that motion, I think it would be just good practice to follow to offer parliamentarians so they know what's changing, what we're voting on in less than 24 hours.
Thank you, MP Chambers. I do see MP Sainte-Marie's hand was up, and then MP Davies after that.
Donc, juste pour répondre à Monsieur.
Just to answer Mr. Chambers, when I saw the Ways and Means motion, I contacted Rachel and the Finance Department team. They made themselves available to answer my questions. So having contacted them, I got answers to my questions. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Sainte-Marie took one of my points. I did the same thing. When I saw the Ways and Means motion, I reached out and got an explanation as well, which I think is open to all parliamentarians. What I would like, though, is I would like the motion that was just moved by Mr. Morantz to be provided us in writing. It's a pretty detailed. No, I know it's on notes, but I don't have it in front of me right now. Okay. It's hard to debate the motion.
I'll ask the clerk. I'll ask the clerk, yes, to distribute, please, to everybody.
Typically, when a motion is moved, there are copies distributed to everybody in both official languages. So,
Okay, well, members do want, so I think it should be distributed. Clerk, if you could also distribute to all members electronically, they may not have it in front of them. I do see PS Bendian, although MP Davies still, is that, MP Davies, did you have anything else?
No, I'm going to take a few minutes.
Okay,
The
you're going to
motion
take.
before I talk on it. But the other thing is, I'm wondering,
Okay.
with 10 minutes, if
Yeah,
we should relieve the witnesses.
I agree. So, members, we're going to allow the witnesses because we're not going to go much past 5:30 here. So we'll release the witnesses and we're just going to suspend for a few minutes so that MP Davies and others can take a look at this. No, PS Bendian, yes.
Thank you. I would like the opportunity to speak, Mr. Chair. Once again, we see the Conservative motion on capital gains being interrupted by the Conservatives. It's unfortunate because there are several Conservative as well as other witnesses here to provide interesting testimony. Mr. Chair, given that a member of this committee, Mr. Davies, has requested time to review the motion is quite detailed. I would suggest that we hold a committee meeting to discuss committee business in which we can talk about all of the motions that are before us and see where the committee would like to go for the remainder of the fall session. Mr. Chair, given that there are several other studies that have been proposed that are on the books for quite some time and that I think members would like to get to, considering that we've already studied several Conservative motions at Finance Committee, I would suggest that we proceed in that way. With respect to the motion that is currently on the floor of your meeting, Mr. Chair, I move to adjourn debate.
Okay. So, clerk.
The question is, shall the debate be now adjourned? Ms. Bendian?
Oui.
Mr. Baker?
Yes.
Ms. Zerwitz? Yes. Mr. Sorbara?
Yes.
Ms. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Chambers?
No.
Mr. Hallan?
Nope.
Mr. Kelly?
No.
Mr. Morantz?
No.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie?
Non.
Mr. Davies?
Oui.
Yeas pour 6, nays contre 5, 5.
So we're adjourned on that, and we are now, because we do still have the witnesses, and maybe I spoke too soon, we will continue with the witnesses again. So, yep, and we've got about a minute left, I think, for the
Point
Conservatives.
of order.
Yeah.
Did we lose any witnesses when you excused them? Are they?
I don't think so. I think everybody is
I don't
with
see
us. Yeah.
Mr. Lewis. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. For a minute, yes.
Well, Mr. Chair, it's very disappointing to see the Liberals and the NDP, I guess the coalition is alive and well still, voting together to block a very simple motion that would ask the Department of Finance just to tell us what the economic impact of the increase in the inclusion rate is. It's really unfortunate that they want to keep this information from Canadians, but Conservatives will make sure that Canadians get the information. And I'm glad Mr. Giroux was here actually to hear the motion, because I think it'll give him a lot of great ideas as to what he can study as he's putting it forward. And I'll make sure that Mr. Giroux gets a copy of the motion, because if the Department of Finance won't provide information on feedback on the motion, I know that the PBO certainly will. And it'll be unfortunate that the department doesn't have its own data to back up or dispute Mr. Giroux's findings, which we'll have to take as correct. So with that, Mr. Chair, I will cede the mic.
Thank you, Morantz.